The Champions League is back, and we are back tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. It's at Anfield. It's Liverpool versus Redstar Belgrade. It's 2 games back to back. The next 2 Champions League games that we play are against Redstar, back to back, home and away. Like the TV show, but hopefully a hell of a lot better. So, Liverpool are coming into this game after a 1-0 victory at the weekend, where we kind of looked like we struggled, okay? So we'll get that one out of the way straight away. We did struggle against Huddersfield. We scored a goal, set up by Shaqiri, scored by Salah, and it was a really good goal, but it didn't kick on from there. And in fact, if anything, we have a lot to thank our defence and our beautiful bearded goalkeeper for in keeping us at 1-0 and keeping it at a 1-0 victory. Obviously, there was a lot of changes in terms of personnel. You know, having, I think it was Gomez at right back, Lovren in defence as well, getting Lovren more minutes. I think that we will go back to what we are regularly seeing on a regular basis in terms of defence and maybe in terms of personnel as well. I'm not saying that we're going to go back to the whole, like, we're going to have Firmino, Salah and Mane all playing at the same time. Straight away, Mane might not be ready, or he might be ready, but maybe they're giving him a bit of a rest because he played pretty much every single game for Liverpool up until his injury on international duty. So he played a hell of a lot of games for us, and he played really well for us as well. Maybe it was time for him to take some time out of the team. Regardless, maybe no injury is a good injury, but maybe it was a good time for him to just sit on the sidelines for a little bit, refresh, recharge, and get reinvigorated to come into this next part of, you know, not internationals, the Champions League and everything like that in the Premier League and the games that we've got coming up. He's going to be absolutely vital, as is every single player in this team. Now, I'm going to get straight into starting lineups before I go and talk about the teams, obviously. I want to go straight into starting lineups because we have some injury news. Obviously, Naby Keita is still not going to be clear for this one, but apparently there is a rumour, or I can't remember if Klopp confirmed it, he's going to be out for at least 2 weeks. So he's going to be missing from 2 weeks. And the other injury news, I don't know if it's injury news or what, or he's just taking him out of the team for this game. Jordan Henderson will not be involved in this game. I actually did start recording a video earlier on, and then Klopp was giving his press conference, and I stopped the video because it came up with injury news. I'd already gotten through my team selection and stuff like that. So this is a brand new video. I'm not gonna, try and half-arse it and, give you something that's wrong. But that's the injury news that we've got so far. So what you notice straight away in there is that Mane is not on the injury list. Big. And that is awesome that he's not on that injury list. That he's not in the squad. He's not going to be included. So it's only Henderson and Naby Keita. Obviously, Oxlade-Chamberlain being the long-term injury that we know about, and we miss him a great deal. So, makes things interesting in terms of my midfield. My back 5, like goalkeeper and back 4 including, you know what it's going to be. For me, in my mind, it's got to be Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez, Trent. That's who it's got to be for me. I think Gomez can play right back. He's a brilliant centre back. In my eyes, he's a little bit of a step above, if not quite a big step above, Lovren. And in these games, at home, in a Champions League game, I don't care who it is. I want the best players that we've got for each position. Okay? Now, if we can afford to do that, obviously, if we were coming up against Redstar Belgrade today, and we were coming up against, like, Man City at the weekend, obviously I wouldn't recommend that. And to be fair, I can't actually remember who we're playing at the weekend. But that's regardless, because I don't think we're playing a big team at the weekend, or even a big team. But even so, by the by, I want us to go with our back 5 that is so solid. And don't get me wrong, we didn't concede at the weekend, but we were lucky on so many occasions. They even had it in the back of the net and it was ruled out. So I want to go back to what we know works, what we know is good. The only change that might happen, I don't know if it would happen, would be maybe Nathaniel Klein in for Trent. Could happen, I don't see it happening, but maybe it could. It very well could. Moving into the midfield is where things get interesting, obviously. For me, obviously, Jordan Henderson was one of the people I was putting in just to go alongside the player that I think that should come in and most likely will come in now. Milner will probably start, in my opinion. If not, it would be Gini Wijnaldum. The other player I want in that midfield as like the second holding player is Fabinho. I want Fabinho in there. I want Fabinho to start the game, play the game, and I really want him to. I think that with the little performance that he gave when he came on against Huddersfield, I think when he came on and he did give a good measured performance, I think if we can get more of that, get him more minutes against these teams like Redstar Belgrade, no disrespect to them, but it's not like we're throwing him to the Wolves and putting him against Man City, putting him against Chelsea in the league and stuff like that. Bring him in now because he actually looks like he could be, as up to speed as he can be without actually needing match time. Training and intense training is always good, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. But when it comes to actually, getting match fitness, you've got to do it in a match, in an actual match. That's just my opinion. I think it's the opinion of a couple of other people as well. I'd love to see him in there. Really would love to see him in there. Get him involved and put him alongside either Milner or Gini Wijnaldum, depending on who plays. And depending on what the shape of the midfield will be, kind of is dictated by what happens in the front line as well. Now, I'm going to go to the front line before I talk about the third midfield player. In my mind, you could go with Mohamed Salah, Firmino and Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane has been declared fit. He's not on the injury list by Jurgen Klopp anyway, so he could play in this game, and that would be a frightening front three. Now, if we do that, the third midfielder, so you've got holding sort of players like Milner and Fabinho in my mind, so Milner, Fabinho, and then in that maybe a little bit more of an advanced role, some people might be looking for Adam Lallana. I'm not. And that's no disrespect to him. I'm looking for Xherdan Shaqiri. Because I felt that he had a very good game against Huddersfield. He was one of the players that had a very good game in terms of an attacking sense. Maybe, is that a reason why, I can't say that he would be a reason why we're losing a midfield battle. But, I'll come on to that as well, and why I want Fabinho involved as well. But I want to see, Adam Lallana can be very creative, he can be very good on the ball. Shaqiri gives you something a little bit extra, in my opinion. He gives you that little bit more burst of pace. He's got really, really good quick feet as well. I think his football brain is just a little bit more, it's a bit quicker than Adam Lallana, and I think the fact that he could quite fluidly go from that midfield, say like a number 10, advanced, a cam, an attacking midfield sort of role, and he could roam around that front three or behind that front three and pass and feed and pass and feed all of that front line. Now, the only difference that you could get here, the only difference that would maybe take him out of that number 10 role would be if Sadio Mane doesn't play. Now, if Sadio Mane doesn't play, Shaqiri plays left wing. That is where he plays. So if Mane doesn't play, the forward line goes Shaqiri, Firmino and Salah. That's how it would go. And then in the midfield, you'd go with Fabinho, Milner, possibly Lallana, or you could go Gini Wijnaldum. Because Wijnaldum's played an advanced position before. He used to play it at Newcastle, and I think he still plays it at Netherlands. I know he scored a goal on international duty, and it was a good goal as well. Really nice goal. So he can play that role as well, but his role's changed a little bit with Liverpool, and could that affect his style of play? I don't know. It's all up in the air, to be fair. So those are the two options in terms of lineup for me. Now, when we come to the two teams, okay, we lost against Napoli 1-0. We were we looked exhausted. We were on dead legs, spaghetti legs, and we just looked like we couldn't cope with what they were giving to us in the 92nd minute. It was a tight game, right up until they were dominating us for possession and chances created by a long shot, but it looked like we were going to hold out, but we couldn't, and we lost 1-0. Redstar Belgrade, on the other hand, kind of have a bit of controversy about their result against PSG. There was apparently some sort of bet of some sort from a Redstar Belgrade, either a staff member or something like that, where they bet on quite a substantial amount of money on the goal scoring margin being by 5 goals. PSG won 6-1. That's a 5-goal margin. I don't know what's to come of that, and I don't know if anything is to come of that. But anyway, it shouldn't really impact our game a great deal. I don't think Red Star are allowed to have any of their fans at Anfield, so it's going to be an all Liverpool stadium, which could be quite cool. I've not seen many games like that, and I certainly don't think I've seen a recent one with Liverpool like that anyway. So that could be cool in terms of atmosphere. And then in terms of results, predicting a result, I'm going for a 2-0 to Liverpool. And I know people are going to look at that as like, PSG just smacked them 6-1. We can, we can get at this team. This could be our Maribor, like from last year. Don't get me wrong, totally could be. Totally could be. But I'm also looking at that Redstar Belgrade versus Napoli result where they got a 0-0. They were very, very stubborn. I think Napoli had something like 23 plus chances or something like that, and none of them would go in the back of the net. At the moment, we're struggling to score goals. We're creating a little bit, but we really have to actually get forward a little bit more. And where we will win that battle, I told you I would come back to it, is in the midfield. We don't seem to be winning the midfield battle in terms of retaining possession and getting possession back, getting the ball back to us. I think Fabinho could be a key factor to that happening. If we can get him into this game, this is why it's a risk to throw someone in there because you don't know, is he gonna sink or is he gonna swim? You just don't know which way it's gonna go until you get him in there. And I think this is as good a game as any to get him involved alongside someone like a Milner, like a Gini Wijnaldum, depending on how the rest of that midfield goes. I think it's the perfect game for him to come in and show what he can do. So, I'm going for a Liverpool 2-0 victory. I don't know who's going to score. It could be anybody. It could be Van Dijk with a header. It could be Salah with a beautiful curler. I'm not sure, but I do think that we will win this game, and I think it'll be 2-0 to Liverpool. Let me know what you think in the comments below, if you please. Let me know anything that you're thinking. Team selection, who do you think is going to win? How do you think the performance is going to be? Let me know it all in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. As always, I really do appreciate any view, any like, and any comment. Thank you once again, and I'll catch you later.